Swinging at some new targets, ICE, and as you saw, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem.
They actually released this bonus clip on Twitter last night, poking fun at DHS Secretary Kristi Noem.
It's so lazy to just constantly make fun of women for how they look. If they wanted to criticize my job, go ahead and do that, but clearly they can't. They just pick something petty like that.
Kristi Noem's explosive reaction to South Park Episode 2 is the kind of political implosion you have to see to believe. In less than 10 minutes, a cartoon shredded her with Botox jabs, over-the-top ICE raids, and that jaw-dropping puppy story straight from her own memoir.
You, Captain.
I know it's tough doing what's hard, but we could use more men like you to distract.
Whoa! What the fuck?
Your Botox, Miss Noem? Oh, yes.
But suddenly, when they make fun of Kristi Noem, it's because liberals hate women? Give me a break.
And instead of shrugging it off, she went nuclear, proving the parody wasn't nearly as brutal as her real-life thin skin.
Yeah, it never ends, but it's so lazy to just constantly make fun of women for how...
It wasn't just any South Park episode. This was August 6th, 2025. And from the first frame, they went straight for Kristi Noem's jugular.
Welcome to the team, recruits. I'm Kristi Noem, head of...
No warm-up, no easing in, just a full-blown roast of the Homeland Security Secretary, styled like a beauty queen playing action hero, strutting in front of her fresh-faced ICE recruits as if she's starring in her own propaganda film.
Do that. If they wanted to criticize my job, go ahead and do that, but clearly they can't. They just pick something petty like that.
And then, bam! The fake orientation video drops the bomb. Cartoon Noem, grinning like she's filming a campaign ad, casually brags about shooting her own puppy in the face because it was untrainable. That's not satire pulled out of thin air. That's her own story from her own memoir, handed to the writers on a silver platter. Honestly, at that point, the animators didn't even have to exaggerate. All they had to do was hit record and let her words do the damage.
Hold on! Okay.
We're just here for questioning. Cooperate and nothing bad. Holy shit!
And just when you think they've hit peak ridiculous, they drop the Botox raid moment. And it's brutal. Mid-operation, in the middle of rounding people up, someone yells, "Your Botox, Miss Noem!" Without missing a beat, she stops, tilts her head back, and gets a quick touch-up before carrying on like nothing happened.
Your Botox, Miss Noem?
Oh, yeah, fix me up, fix me up.
Another day doing what's tough.
It's the perfect visual punchline for a politician who treats public service like a photo shoot. Spectacle first, substance somewhere way down the list. And the worst part? You watch it and realize they didn't have to exaggerate much to make it believable.
It's so lazy to just constantly make fun of women for how they look. If they wanted to criticize my job, go ahead and do that, but clearly they can't. They just pick something petty like that.
Then, as if the Botox mid-raid scene wasn't savage enough, Noem decides to gift-wrap South Park even more material with a full-blown pity tour. She hops on the Glenn Beck podcast, all huff and indignation, whining that the parody was lazy and petty, like that's not literally South Park's entire business model.
She claims that only liberals and extremists make fun of women for how they look. Really, Kristi? Because...
And instead of laughing it off, she plays the victim and claims only liberals and extremists mock women's looks. This from the same woman who stayed silent while her party went after AOC, Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, even Carly Fiorina. But the second she's in the crosshairs, suddenly it's a feminist crisis.
And I had a choice between keeping my small children and other people safe or a dangerous animal, and I chose the safety of my children.
No.
And here's the kicker. South Park didn't just throw random punches. They went in like snipers. They took her own words, her over-polished image, and that desperate need to be seen as the toughest, prettiest person in the room, and fired it right back at her with a smug little grin. Every beat of the parody was grounded in reality, her reality, which is exactly why it landed like a hammer.
talking about South Park. Not only is this a cartoon, but it's a show that spent the last 27 years making fun of literally everyone and everything.
This is what South Park has been doing for over 2 decades. Presidents, pop stars, religious leaders. If you act ridiculous, you're getting roasted. And Kristi Noem? She didn't just walk into their sites. She practically kicked the door down and begged them to take the shot.
Mocked every president, every politician, every celebrity, every demographic, every religion, every ideology. That is literally their entire brand. But suddenly, when they make fun of Kristi Noem, it's because liberals hate.
And then she went full overdrive. One appearance after another. TV, podcasts, anywhere with a microphone, turning a quick cartoon jab into a week-long circus. With every soundbite, she handed South Park fresh proof that the joke had hit dead on. It stopped being about the episode and started looking like a masterclass in how to torch your own credibility.
Governance of South Dakota. It's not her groundbreaking policy initiatives. It is the fact that she wrote a book where she bragged about shooting her 14-month-old puppy in the face because it was, quote, untrainable. She literally...
And then there's the part that clearly hit a nerve. The puppy. South Park didn't need secret files or shady sources. Noem served it to them in her own memoir. She proudly wrote about shooting her 14-month-old dog in the face because it was untrainable and liked to bite, spinning it as some badge of tough leadership.
And I think what you're seeing with this administration, sort of top to bottom, is the thing that they are having the hardest time facing criticism-wise is being laughed at.
The problem? Most people didn't see a decisive leader. They saw a jaw-dropping lapse in judgment. The show didn't have to twist it or exaggerate it. They just fed her own words back to the audience and let the shock do the rest.
elicited this response from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem.
Yeah, it never ends, but it's so lazy to just constantly make fun of women for how they look. Only the liberals and the extremists do that. If they wanted.
So yes, people could spend hours tearing her apart. South Park did it in 2 minutes. They used her real actions, her polished image, and her own scandals to create a highlight reel that hit harder than any opponent ever could. Every punchline, every gasp, every "did they really just say that?" came straight from her.
In an interview last week in Rolling Stone magazine, Donald Trump said the following about you, quote, "Look at that face. Would anyone vote for that? Can you imagine that, the face of our next president?" Mr. Trump later said he was talking about your persona, not your appearance.
Vice President J.D. Vance took a slightly different approach. Instead of being the butt of the joke, sharing his South Park moment, saying, "I finally made it." Bring back the group chat.
Let's be real. If she'd just laughed it off, the story would have died in a day. But instead, she poured gasoline on it. The sexist cartoon defense became her rallying cry, while the mountain of real criticism behind her went untouched. In the end, she didn't just prove she could be parodied. She proved she was easier to parody than anyone thought.
I actually was a little surprised that was her reaction because she's tough. I mean, she's taken criticism forever, and I don't actually look at it as a woman issue. I just look at it as they're just making fun of everybody. I mean,
South Park has roasted everyone from presidents to pop stars, and the smart ones laugh it off. This season, Vice President J.D. Vance took his parody as a joke about "finally made it." Kristi Noem turned hers into a multi-day meltdown that gave the episode more attention than any promo could. It pulled over 6 million viewers in 3 days, the show's biggest in decades, and she handed them that record without even trying. You know how satire works. It's a spotlight that can make you look untouchable or light up every flaw you've got. Handle it with a grin, and you walk away bigger. Flinch, and you've just told the world you can't take a hit. South Park didn't go after Kristi Noem because she's a woman. They went after her because her own stories are pure comedy gold. Put a puppy shooting tale in your memoir, and you're not just part of the joke. You're handing them the punchline. And if this is how Kristi Noem unravels over a cartoon, what happens when it's the real thing? Was this a brutal takedown or a self-inflicted disaster? Let me know in the comments, and hit like and subscribe for more unfiltered breakdowns.